The more you learn about style, the more you will be introduced to different do's and don'ts. But the art of being well dressed is not always as simple as following orders. And sometimes creating your own style involves breaking the rules. In this video, I'm going to suggest 5 ways in which you can bend the rules of classic style and do it in a way that is elegant, gentlemanly, and sophisticated. And I will share with you the nuances of these style rules, so you know when it is appropriate to break them and when it's best to be more conservative. The first rule you should break from time to time is the rule that you should always do up the top button of your shirt when you're wearing a tie. When I was in school, our teachers would have to tell us every single day to do our top button up. We simply hated it. But I understand that having your top button undone can look sloppy in certain situations. The idea in our society is that having your top button done up shows more respect and effort. But there's also a time and a place where it looks deliberately stylish to not do up your top button with a tie. This could be considered a simple expression of sprezzatura, the idea of creating an elegant yet unbothered appearance. It certainly looks more laid back and nonchalant, which can be a very gentlemanly form of confidence. One man who wears this very well is Bryan Ferry, a singer and one of the most important male style icons of the 20th century. In my opinion, it particularly works with knitted ties, or if you're wearing your tie with knitwear instead of a suit or a blazer. Whether wearing your top button undone is appropriate or not is an entirely different matter, and it depends on the situation. Wearing it at a funeral or a serious business meeting can certainly convey the message that you don't care, and it borders on disrespectful. But I know that many of you guys, just like Bryan Ferry, will wear a tie for the fun of it. And in those cases, it's a good way to express your confidence and flair for personal style. In some ways, it tells others that you own the tie and that you're wearing it your own way. It's similar to leaving the short end of the tie loose. It's all about elegance and nonchalance. So if you like this look and you want to learn a bit more about Bryan Ferry's style, check out my full breakdown I did of this singer's elegant aesthetic. The second style rule you should break is one that some young guys might not be familiar with, but this is the rule no brown in town. This refers to your shoes. The idea is that brown shoes are for the country and black shoes should be worn in the city. This is an old English rule that many consider to be outdated. And indeed, if you walk around London today, you will see many businessmen wearing brown Oxfords and brogues. Well, at least if they're not wearing sneakers. What shoe color will be the most appropriate depends entirely on the suit you're wearing, the occasion, and the time of day. For example, if you're wearing a dark navy suit and white shirt to the most important business meeting of your life, and you know everyone there will be dressed very formally, then black shoes are your best bet. I would also only wear black shoes at a funeral. But these are not situations that we find ourselves in much of the time. So actually, a young man will likely get the most enjoyment and use out of his brown shoes. You can wear these with a navy suit, with chinos, with odd trousers and blazers that you have. So personally, I lean more toward brown shoes and only pull out the black Oxfords for those very serious occasions. Or if I'm going out to a nice restaurant in the evening and I want to look my absolute best. The third rule is one that you should absolutely break at all times with no exceptions. In fact, it's not really a rule as much as a myth, but it's one that many men still believe, and it's actually something I was told to do as a young man by older gentlemen who did not know better. The so-called rule is that your tie and pocket square should match. In fact, the total opposite is true. What makes this even more confusing is that many stores will sell a matching tie and pocket square as a set. But just as Applebee's doesn't know anything about fine dining, these stores don't know anything about classic style. Always avoid buying any kind of matching tie and pocket square set where the patterns are the same. It's much better to build your own collection of separate ties and pocket squares that you can mix and match using your own taste. The art of combining your tie and pocket square is a whole other topic for a whole other video. But as a general rule of thumb, you want to introduce some element of similarity between your tie and your pocket square. For example, with this tie, there is a berry red as the dominant tone. So I might choose to do a fold using this pocket square, which has some red on the edges, so we just have that subtle pop of color. So it's not exactly the same shade of red, but it's just close enough that it's actually the perfect match. You could also keep things simple by just wearing a white linen pocket square in a presidential fold anytime you're wearing a white shirt. And basing your tie collection around solid colors and basic patterns will give you a much easier time mixing and matching as a beginner. This style rule is one that even Tom Ford advocates, but I think is complete nonsense. Many will tell you that you absolutely need a black suit in your closet, but the black suit is completely redundant. Firstly, it's of no use for your day-to-day wear because it looks too serious and dramatic and creates too much of a contrast between your skin and the suit fabric. And while the black suit is an acceptable and popular choice for a funeral, it's not the only choice. If you have a dark navy or charcoal grey suit, that is just as appropriate for a funeral. And these are suits that you could wear at other times, being a much more valuable addition to your closet. Hopefully, you're not going to more than 1 or 2 funerals a year, so having a suit solely for this purpose is just a waste of money. You don't even have to wear a black tuxedo to a black tie event if you don't want to. A midnight navy tuxedo is just as acceptable. It looks more flattering for most men's skin tone, and it will help you stand out in a subtly elegant way. As I encourage you to break this 5th rule of style, I'm aware that many of my viewers will disagree. And while this rule has some validity, I don't think it's fair to say that you should never wear sneakers with a suit. It depends on your age, the occasion, the aesthetic you want to create, and of course the type of suit and the type of sneakers. Personally, I think there is a very limited selection of styles that you can wear with a suit without looking terrible. And I would recommend that you only consider a clean, white pair of sneakers anytime you're wearing a blazer or a suit. On the footwear spectrum, these are on one end of an extreme, and the black leather dress shoes that we spoke about earlier are on the other end. So never wear sneakers to a serious business event or a funeral. But if you're wearing a suit just for the fun of it, especially if it's a casual suit in a bright color, something a little bit more fashion forward, then I think white sneakers can look absolutely fantastic. It certainly creates that youthful, playful aesthetic. But please never make the mistake that we've all seen men make and wear tatty old running shoes or colourful Air Jordans with your suit. Frankly, it makes you look like you don't even own a proper pair of shoes that you could have worn, or like you just can't be bothered. On the other hand, a pair of clean white sneakers with the right suit can create a flamboyant and youthful look. Whether you like it or not, totally depends on your taste. Gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed hearing about these 5 rules of style that you can break. Some of these you may agree with, and some of them you may disagree with. It's all about your personal style and how traditional or how flamboyant you want to be. And sometimes you might try breaking a rule, find out that you don't like it, and revert back to the classic. But as you continue on the sartorial path, I encourage you to experiment and learn through practice. So I want to hear from you in the comments. What is one style rule that you like to break? What kind of image does it create, and why do you enjoy doing it? And until tomorrow's video, check out my guide on how a teenager can dress like a gentleman. I teach you how to create an elegant and gentlemanly aesthetic that fits your budget and your lifestyle by focusing on 5 main areas of your wardrobe. So until the next one, thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you all in the comments.